In 2024, a paralyzed man played chess, browsed the internet, and broke a world record using nothing but his thoughts. No hands, no voice commands, just a chip the size of a coin sitting beneath his skull, reading his brain like a book. That same year, a private company switched on a machine running plasma 10 times hotter than the center of the sun. And somewhere over the suburbs of an American city, a drone delivered a package to someone's front door without a single human being involved. No pilot, no driver, no one. These aren't experiments. They aren't prototypes locked inside classified laboratories. They are operational, commercially deployed, and accelerating faster than any regulation on Earth can keep up with. The world you think you're living in is already obsolete. Join us, and let's discover the 15 advanced technologies that actually exist right now. Let's go.
Number 13. Wing-Googled drone delivery. Most people assume drone delivery is still a futuristic promise, something that tech companies have been announcing for a decade without actually delivering, pun intended. That assumption is wrong by about 1 million deliveries. Wing, the drone delivery division spun out of Google's parent company Alphabet, has already completed over 1 million real paid deliveries to real customers in real neighborhoods across Australia, the United States, and Finland. No pilot, no driver, no human being in the loop making individual flight decisions. Each Wing drone takes off vertically, cruises at altitude to avoid obstacles and air traffic, descends precisely over the delivery address, and lowers the package on a thin cable to the customer's doorstep, all autonomously, from the moment the order is confirmed to the moment the package touches the ground. The entire delivery process, from warehouse to doorstep, takes an average of under 10 minutes. For context, the fastest human delivery driver operating under perfect conditions in a dense urban environment rarely beats 15 minutes. Wing beats that benchmark consistently, at scale, across thousands of daily operations. The aircraft itself weighs just 5.5 kilograms, lighter than a standard bag of dog food, and carries payloads of up to 1.5 kilograms, covering the vast majority of everyday retail purchases: food, medicine, small electronics, household essentials. The safety record across 1 million deliveries contains 0 fatal accidents. The technology isn't coming. It has already quietly become part of daily life for hundreds of thousands of people, and most of the world hasn't noticed yet. But if autonomous drones delivering coffee to your door seems impressive, what surgeons are now seeing through a completely different piece of technology will genuinely change how you think about the future of medicine.
When Apple launched the Vision Pro headset, most people assumed it was an expensive toy for tech enthusiasts, a novelty device for watching movies in a slightly more immersive way. Surgeons had a different idea entirely. Hospitals across the United States, United Kingdom, and Brazil are now using the Apple Vision Pro during live surgical procedures, and the results are rewriting assumptions about what mixed reality can do inside an operating room. The core application is spatial visualization. During complex spinal surgeries, neurosurgical procedures, and orthopedic operations, surgeons wearing the Vision Pro can see patient-specific 3D anatomical models floating directly over the actual surgical field, reconstructed from that specific patient's MRI and CT scans, scaled to exact real-world dimensions, and positioned precisely in the surgeon's field of view without blocking their hands or instruments. Instead of glancing repeatedly at a monitor mounted across the room, the surgeon sees the patient's anatomy overlaid in real space, exactly where their hands are working. The reduction in cognitive load is significant: less time looking away, less mental translation between a flat screen image and a three-dimensional body. At the Hospital Israelita Albert Einstein in Sao Paulo, surgeons used the Vision Pro during spinal fusion procedures and reported measurable improvements in spatial precision and procedural efficiency. Medical training programs at universities including Case Western Reserve have integrated Vision Pro into anatomy education, allowing students to examine and manipulate full human body models in 3 dimensions without a cadaver. This is not a pilot program or a research experiment. It is happening in real operating rooms on real patients right now. But while surgeons are seeing the human body in entirely new ways here on Earth, Japan just landed something extraordinary on the moon that changed how we understand robotic exploration entirely.
Only 1% of people know the dark truth behind what we are about to show you next. If you want to be part of the few who actually know what's happening in the world, subscribe and leave a like right now. Done? Look at this.
In January 2024, Japan became only the 5th country in history to successfully land a spacecraft on the moon. And the way they did it made every previous lunar landing look conventional by comparison. The JAXA SLIM lander touched down with a precision of just 3 meters from its intended target location. Every previous lunar mission had landing accuracy measured in kilometers. SLIM demonstrated pinpoint precision that fundamentally changes what future lunar exploration can attempt, landing near specific geological features, cave entrances, or resource deposits, rather than simply finding a flat safe zone somewhere in the general vicinity. But the lander itself wasn't the most remarkable part of what Japan brought to the moon. SLIM deployed 2 small rovers upon landing. The second one, LEV-2, officially named Sora-Q, was developed in collaboration with toy manufacturer Bandai Namco, and it is exactly as extraordinary as that partnership sounds. Sora-Q is a sphere 8 centimeters in diameter, roughly the size of a baseball. Upon landing on the lunar surface, it transforms. The sphere splits open and reconfigures into a mobile rover with wheels and a camera system, crawling across the lunar surface and transmitting photographs back to Earth. A robot the size of a baseball, built partly by a toy company, is driving across the moon and sending pictures home. The images Sora-Q captured of the SLIM lander on the lunar surface were the first photographs of a Japanese spacecraft taken on the moon by a Japanese rover. Beyond the engineering achievement, SLIM's pinpoint landing technology represents a blueprint for future missions targeting the lunar South Pole, where water ice deposits could support permanent human presence. Japan just proved that precision lunar exploration is possible. But precision in robotics isn't limited to spacecraft. A drone weighing less than 3 coins is doing something on Earth that nature spent millions of years perfecting.
There is a moment when you watch the bionic bird Swift fly for the first time, where your brain refuses to accept what it's seeing. The motion is too organic. The wing articulation is too natural. The way it responds to air currents, adjusting its flight path with subtle shifts in wing geometry rather than abrupt mechanical corrections, it simply does not look like a machine. That's because it was designed not to. Weighing just 10.9 grams, lighter than 3 US quarters stacked together, the Swift is a fully functional ornithopter, generating all of its lift and propulsion through wing flapping alone. No propellers, no rotors, no spinning components of any kind. The aerodynamic system is entirely biomechanical, replicating the precise physics of how birds bend and twist their primary feathers to redirect airflow and generate thrust. The result is a flight profile that conventional drones physically cannot replicate. It reaches 31 kilometers per hour outdoors and slows to a whisper-quiet 3.5 kilometers per hour indoors, navigating enclosed spaces with a precision that rotor-based systems can't match without creating disruptive airflow. Swappable tail configurations, one optimized for speed, one for precision, adapts its handling to different environments. Wind resistance up to 15 kilometers per hour is managed automatically through onboard stabilization. The system behind it represents over 15 years of dedicated biomimicry research, studying exactly how birds manipulate aerodynamic forces at the feather level and encoding that understanding into carbon fiber and microelectronics. Military and surveillance applications for a drone indistinguishable from a real bird are obvious and actively being explored. But this level of biomimicry and engineering is just one piece of a much larger scientific revolution happening right now, one that involves not drones, but the very building blocks of every disease that has ever killed a human being.
3 billion years ago, Mars was not the frozen, radiation-blasted desert it is today. It had liquid water, real rivers carving valleys into its surface, real lakes filling ancient basins, possibly a shallow ocean covering its entire northern hemisphere. The evidence is carved permanently into the Martian surface. Ancient riverbeds, lake sediment deposits, and minerals that only form in the sustained presence of liquid water. Then something catastrophic happened. The atmosphere was stripped away by solar wind, the constant stream of charged particles flowing outward from the sun, leaving the surface exposed to lethal radiation and making liquid water permanently impossible. Mars didn't just lose its water, it lost the conditions for life itself. Understanding exactly how that happened is one of the most important scientific questions humanity has ever asked, because the same process could theoretically happen to Earth given the right conditions. On November 13, 2025, NASA launched its answer, ESCAPADE, 2 spacecraft the size of shoeboxes, named Blue and Gold, aboard Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket. Total mission cost, under $80 million. That number deserves emphasis. The average Hollywood blockbuster costs more to produce than this mission to another planet. The 2 probes will orbit Mars days apart, using their separation as a stereo measurement baseline to track precisely how solar wind strips away the remaining Martian atmosphere, mapping the exact mechanism by which a living world became a dead one. Arrival is set for September 2027. When the data arrives, we will know exactly why Mars died, and knowing that may be the most important thing we've ever learned about protecting the planet we actually live on. But while we're sending shoebox satellites to Mars to study a dead world, here on Earth, a machine is being built that may permanently solve the energy crisis of the living one.
In the south of France, inside a construction site covering 180 hectares, roughly the area of 250 football fields, 35 countries are building a single machine together. The United States, China, Russia, the European Union, India, Japan, and South Korea have set aside every geopolitical conflict, every trade dispute, every territorial tension to collaborate on one shared project. That fact alone should tell you something extraordinary is happening. ITER, International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, is the largest nuclear fusion experiment ever attempted. Its goal is to recreate inside a machine the same process that powers the sun, forcing hydrogen atoms together under extreme pressure and heat until they fuse, releasing enormous amounts of clean energy with no carbon emissions and no long-lived radioactive waste. The fuel source is hydrogen isotopes found in virtually unlimited quantities in ordinary seawater. The engineering numbers involved are almost incomprehensible. The ITER plasma chamber will operate at 150 million degrees Celsius, 10 times hotter than the sun's core. The magnetic field systems containing that plasma will be the most powerful superconducting magnets ever built. The machine weighs 23,000 tons, heavier than 3 Eiffel Towers combined. And 35 nations built every individual component separately in their home countries, then shipped them to France for assembly, like the world's most complex and consequential jigsaw puzzle. First plasma is targeted for 2025, with full deuterium-tritium fusion experiments planned for the early 2030s. If ITER succeeds, it doesn't just solve the energy crisis. It makes energy, clean, unlimited, practically free energy, the permanent condition of human civilization. And while 35 countries are working together to build the future of energy, one company in Canada built a robot that learned 100 different jobs by watching videos on the internet.
The central problem with humanoid robots has never been the hardware. Arms, legs, hands, sensors. Engineers have been building impressive physical platforms for years. The problem has always been the same. The robot can only do what someone explicitly programmed it to do. Change the environment slightly. Introduce an object it hasn't seen before. Ask it to do something adjacent to its training, and it fails completely. Sanctuary AI's Phoenix robot is attacking that limitation from a completely different angle. Instead of programming Phoenix to perform specific tasks, Sanctuary's team trains it using a system called Carbon, an AI architecture that allows Phoenix to learn new tasks by observing human demonstrations, processing what it sees, and building its own execution model. The result is a robot that has learned over 100 distinct industrial tasks without being individually programmed for each one. Folding garments with irregular shapes,
moving objects between containers of different heights, operating tools designed for human hands, each skill acquired through observation rather than explicit coding. Phoenix stands at human scale, 170 centimeters tall, 70 kilograms, with hands engineered for the dexterity required to handle the same objects humans handle in real work environments. It is already deployed in pilot programs at commercial partner facilities, performing real work in real industrial settings, not in a controlled laboratory. The learning speed is what makes this genuinely alarming in the best possible way. As the AI model improves, every Phoenix robot in the field improves simultaneously through over-the-air updates, meaning the entire fleet gets smarter overnight without anyone physically touching the machines. A robot that learns like a human is no longer theoretical. But while Phoenix is learning to work alongside humans in factories, another technology has already changed the outcome of real wars being fought right now.
In February 2022, Russian forces invaded Ukraine and immediately targeted the country's communications infrastructure, cell towers, internet exchanges, fiber optic lines. The strategic logic was sound: destroy communications, blind the military, collapse coordination. It almost worked. Within days of the invasion, Ukraine's connectivity was critically degraded. Then, Elon Musk activated Starlink. Within 10 days of the invasion, thousands of Starlink terminals were operational across Ukraine, providing high-speed satellite internet directly to military units in the field hospitals, emergency services, and civilian populations in areas where every other form of communication had been destroyed. The effect on the battlefield was immediate and documented. Ukrainian drone operators used Starlink connections to coordinate precision strikes in real time. Artillery units transmitted targeting data instantly across distances that would have required dedicated military communication infrastructure previously costing hundreds of millions of dollars to build. Medical teams in forward positions accessed patient records and communicated with specialists. Commanders coordinated maneuvers across dispersed units with the same clarity as a peacetime military exercise. Russia recognized the threat and attempted to jam Starlink signals using military-grade electronic warfare systems specifically designed for satellite communications disruption. Starlink's software team updated the system's anti-jamming protocols within hours, a software patch deployed from space, defeating military-grade jamming equipment in real time. The episode forced every military strategist on Earth to rewrite their assumptions about communications infrastructure in modern warfare. Satellite internet is now a frontline military asset, and one country's attempt to cut it off became one of the most significant electronic warfare battles ever fought. But communications are just one dimension of how autonomous technology is rewriting the modern battlefield. The next item operates without any communications infrastructure at all.
Number 5. Overland AI Ultra. There is a problem that has gotten soldiers killed across every war in modern history. A frontline unit is pinned down and needs supplies, ammunition, medical equipment, water. The only route to reach them passes through an area under enemy fire. Sending a human convoy means risking the lives of the resupply crew. Waiting means the forward unit runs out of what it needs during the fight. Until recently, there was no third option. Overland AI's Ultra is that third option. This fully autonomous ground vehicle runs on a 114 horsepower engine, the same output as a performance motorcycle, giving it sustained speed and power across terrain that stops conventional military trucks cold. Its 14.5 inches of ground clearance, nearly double a standard military vehicle, allows it to roll over obstacles that would immobilize equipment costing 10 times as much. It carries 1,000 pounds of payload at sustained speeds of 35 miles per hour across forest, volcanic ridges, rubble, and mud. Its navigation AI operates entirely in GPS-denied environments. When enemy electronic warfare systems jam satellite signals, Ultra switches seamlessly to sensor fusion and terrain processing, continuing its mission without interruption. The modular payload bay transforms the vehicle's mission profile in minutes. Resupply crates, drone launchers, counter-drone jamming systems, casualty evacuation platforms, or breaching equipment, all hot swappable in the field. One operator can control entire swarms of Ultra vehicles simultaneously through an Overwatch interface, orchestrating autonomous logistics operations across a battlefield from a single laptop.
Elite units have already completed 15 day-night operational missions using Ultra in realistic combat scenarios. Army and Defense Innovation Unit contracts are accelerating production. Every vehicle that reaches the front line autonomously is a human life that never entered the kill zone. But Ultra operates on the ground. The next technology fits inside a backpack and turns every soldier into an air force.
Number 4. Anduril Bolt and Bolt M. Picture an infantry squad of 8 soldiers. They're moving through rubble in an urban environment. Enemy combatants are fortified inside a building 280 meters ahead. No artillery within range. No air support available for the next 2 hours. No sniper angle exists. In conventional military doctrine, that squad either waits, hemorrhaging tactical momentum, or advances and absorbs catastrophic casualties. Anduril's Bolt and Bolt M have permanently ended that binary. These backpack-portable VTOL drones, vertical takeoff and landing, can be unpacked, configured, and launched by a single soldier in under 5 minutes from any surface: rooftop, forest floor, rubble pile, mud. The base Bolt is an intelligence platform, flying 45 minutes at ranges beyond 20 kilometers, carrying a sensor fusion system capable of tracking targets through walls, maintaining a continuous lock on a person who has moved inside a building by integrating multiple sensor streams simultaneously. Then there is Bolt M. It carries a 3-pound warhead engineered to destroy light vehicles, fortified positions, and personnel. Its Lattice AI system handles approach vector calculation, friendly force deconfliction, and terminal guidance without human input after target designation. The soldier designates the target, confirms the track, and authorizes. The AI executes everything else autonomously. What this means tactically is historically unprecedented. The precision airstrike capability that previously required a $10 million aircraft, a 2-person crew, and 30 minutes of coordination now fits inside one person's backpack and launches in 5 minutes. Every squad equipped with Bolt M is now an independent precision airstrike asset. Ground combat has been permanently rewritten. But even Bolt M requires a human to make the initial targeting decision. The next item on this list has already removed that requirement at a national defense scale.
On a clear night in April 2024, Israel activated a weapon that exists nowhere else on Earth to intercept a threat that no previous defense system could have handled. Iran launched a coordinated attack involving 170 drones, 30 cruise missiles, and 120 ballistic missiles simultaneously, the largest aerial assault in Israel's history. Israel's existing defense systems, Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow, intercepted the vast majority of incoming threats. But alongside those conventional missile interceptors, Israel deployed something fundamentally different. Iron Beam is a high-energy laser defense system that destroys targets by firing a focused beam of light at them, heating the target's surface to the point of structural failure in seconds. It operates at the speed of light, meaning there is zero travel time between firing and impact. Any target within range that Iron Beam locks onto is already hit before the system has finished the motion of firing. The cost per interception is approximately $2. Iron Dome intercepts cost between $40,000 and $100,000 each. Arrow interceptors cost over $1 million per shot. Iron Beam defeats the same threats for $2 of electricity. The strategic implications are staggering. A nation equipped with Iron Beam cannot be economically exhausted by cheap drone swarms, a tactic that adversaries have specifically developed to overwhelm expensive conventional interceptors through volume and cost asymmetry. Iron Beam is already deployed operationally. It has already been used in real combat, and Israel is actively developing naval and airborne versions to extend the system's coverage. Laser defense is no longer a concept from science fiction. It is a deployed, operational reality that just changed the economics of modern warfare permanently. But the most profound technology on this list doesn't operate in the sky, on the battlefield, or in space. It operates inside the human brain itself.
In January 2024, a 29-year-old man named Nolan Arbaugh became the first human being in history to receive a permanently implanted Neuralink N1 brain-computer interface. Arbaugh had been paralyzed from the shoulders down following a diving accident 8 years earlier. He had not moved his hands voluntarily in nearly a decade. 10 weeks after the implant surgery, he was playing chess on a laptop using only his thoughts. Not voice commands, not eye tracking, not any external physical input of any kind. Pure thought translated directly into cursor movement on a screen. By April 2024, he had set what Neuralink described as the world record for neural interface cursor control speed, moving a computer cursor faster and more precisely than any brain-computer interface had ever recorded. He was browsing the internet, playing video games, and video calling friends, all through thought alone. The N1 chip itself is smaller than a 5-cent coin. It sits beneath the skull in the motor cortex, the brain region responsible for planning physical movement, with 1,024 electrodes, each thinner than a human hair, extending into surrounding neural tissue to read the electrical signals the brain generates when it intends to move a limb. Those signals are decoded by an AI system that has learned that specific patient's unique neural signature over time, transmitted wirelessly through the skull to external devices, with no physical cable. The surgical robot implanting the device places each electrode with micron-level precision that human surgeons cannot physically achieve. Paralysis is the first problem Neuralink is solving. Researchers are already openly discussing applications in treatment-resistant depression, epilepsy, memory disorders, and blindness. Further ahead, direct brain-to-device communication that bypasses every physical interface entirely. The boundary between human thought and digital action is no longer fixed. And the final technology on this list doesn't interface with the human brain. It threatens to make the energy problem that limits every other technology on this planet permanently, completely, and irrevocably obsolete.
Every single technology on this list runs on energy. The autonomous drones, the robots learning from videos, the laser defense systems, the brain-computer interfaces, the Mars missions. All of it depends on the same fundamental resource that humanity has been burning, splitting, and harvesting for its entire industrial history. And every energy source we currently have carries a price that compounds over time. Fossil fuels are warming the planet at a measurable, accelerating rate. Solar and wind are intermittent. They stop when the sun sets and the wind dies. Nuclear fission produces radioactive waste that remains lethally dangerous for tens of thousands of years. There is one energy source that carries none of these costs: nuclear fusion, the process that powers the sun. Fueled by hydrogen isotopes found in virtually unlimited quantities in ordinary seawater. Zero carbon emissions. Zero long-lived radioactive waste. A fuel supply that is, for all practical purposes, infinite. For 70 years, this has been the promise that always stayed just out of reach. The plasma required for fusion burns at temperatures so extreme that no physical container on Earth can hold it. You must suspend a piece of the sun using magnetic fields alone. And every attempt until recently consumed more energy than it released. Helion Energy's Polaris prototype changed that permanently. In late 2024, Polaris achieved the private sector's first confirmed deuterium-tritium fusion reactions at sustained plasma temperatures of 150 million degrees Celsius, 10 times hotter than the star our entire planet orbits. Inside a machine the size of a shipping container, built by a private company on Earth. Helion received the first ever U.S. government tritium handling license issued to a private fusion company, a regulatory milestone that represents 70 years of scientific progress made real. Their next reactor, Orion, is under active construction with a signed contract to deliver electricity directly to Microsoft's power grid by 2028, harvesting energy directly from plasma pulses, bypassing steam turbines entirely. If that deadline is met, the cascade of consequences across human civilization is almost impossible to fully calculate.
Energy-intensive processes, currently considered economically impossible, large-scale atmospheric carbon capture, unlimited freshwater desalination, continuous deep space propulsion, all become viable simultaneously the moment energy stops being scarce. The global balance of power between energy-rich and energy-poor nations restructures.
Every technology on this list becomes cheaper, faster, and more scalable overnight. Helion's Polaris is not just the most impressive technology on this list. It is the one that makes every other technology on this list and every list that will ever be written after it truly limitless.
If you thought this was terrifying, you are not ready for what they found in the video on your screen. Click it right now. The truth is worse than you think.